All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome into Colorado Avalanche media availability with Avalanche defenseman Taylor Makar. We'll start taking questions for Cale. Please remember to use that hand-raising feature to indicate you have a question. We'll start with Mike Chambers, Denver Post.
Hey, Cale, congratulations on the contract. How important was it to get it done sooner rather than later and not have this drag out throughout the summer?
Yeah, first off, thank you. No, I think for both sides, obviously we want to do something that would work for both of us, and everybody's different. It's going to take a different amount of time regardless of, or depending on the negotiations. So no, I'm definitely fortunate that we were able to get this done, and I'm very happy, and no, couldn't be more excited.
Kyle Keith, Altitude Sports.
Hey, Cale, congrats, man. This is awesome. I think it's great for the fans. It's great for the organization, obviously, and for you. As much as you can you just talk about the process and what it ultimately felt like to sign that contract and know that you're going to be with this team for a while?
Yeah, thanks again. And honestly, just to know that how far we've kind of come, and the whole process for me was very kind of laid back. I really didn't have much going on. It was just I have such great agents, and obviously Scott, Brian, and Steve Bartlett, and they take the bulk of the negotiations. Obviously, I'm not doing much, but no, I'm very fortunate that I have them on my side, and they have such a great reputation, and it just makes it easy on my end to trust what they're doing, and know that they're capable of pulling something up.
Peter Baugh, The Athletic.
Hey, Cale, congratulations. I guess when you were negotiating and thinking about what you wanted and communicating that with your agents, how did the, cap situation of the Avalanche and making sure that they still had some cap flexibility after this deal play into the number that you guys ended up getting to?
Yeah, thanks again. And honestly, I think for me and for both sides, obviously we wanted something that would work and be realistic as well. So for me, I know this is a team that has the potential to win and to win now. And obviously you don't want to sacrifice or kind of get in the way of any of that. So just tried to obviously do something that would work for both sides. And I think we came to a deal that obviously works for both of us, like I said. So that's kind of the way that I saw it. But again, it just goes back to the great negotiating on both sides, I think.
Eric Dean, Mile High Sports.
Hey, Cale, congratulations. I was just curious in regards to not just the cap number, but the term. How involved were you in the term of the deal, and were you interested at all in signing anything shorter or longer? Did it feel like, just right to go 5+ years, which ultimately ended up with 6?
Yeah, I think for me, I didn't really know what to focus on, and then I think I have so much faith in the organization and the program that I think a longer term deal was something more suitable for me. And regardless of what the years were, I think we just wanted to work that out per side. But I definitely have faith in what the program is building and where we are at now, and where we're gonna be in the future. So that's kind of the way that I looked at it.
Dan Rosen, NHL.com.
Cale, congratulations. I got to ask you, because your name was tossed out there with rumors of, will Cale sign an offer sheet somewhere? Will that happen? Did that ever enter your mindset at all?
No, thank you. And honestly, no. Like I said, it was a seamless process for me, kind of. Fortunately, just have unbelievable agents in Brian, Scotty, and Steve there. And they did such a great job, and they made it very easy on me, just obviously keeping me in the loop with everything, but at the same time not giving me too much stress in the whole process of things, and making sure to manage that. So I definitely, for me, it was just listening to what people's thoughts were and kind of taking everything in.
Kyle Keith, Altitude Sports.
Hey, Cale, hockey question for you. As you kind of watched Vegas and Montreal, Tampa Bay, and the Islanders, kind of down the stretch, if you did watch it or how much you did watch of it, was there something that you saw in those two series? Because Colorado, once again, is favored to win the Stanley Cup. Is there something that you saw in those two series that stood out to you that maybe that you guys were missing that you'd like to apply this year to see, hopefully that you guys go a little deeper in the playoffs?
Yeah, obviously, there's a lot of work to get to that point. And for me, I watched almost every one of those games, and it's tough. It's tough watching those, and obviously you want to be there. And we know as a group our time will come. And obviously some unfortunate bounces the past few years, but like I said, I have so much faith in this organization and where we're planning on going, hopefully in the near future here. And I think just watching those games, it just reiterates the consistency that you need to bring through the playoffs. Obviously, Montreal was a team that was kind of doubted, and not many people had them or written off basically. So not many people had them going very far. So in playoffs, it really doesn't matter kind of what you did in the regular season. Everything's different, and you kind of just got to play that hard style game that is going to win you games, regardless of if you win by 6 goals or 1 goal. So I think that's something that we as a team need to be prepared for more, is just playing in those close situations and being ready for that. But like I said, obviously there's so much time before that, and obviously you build all that during the regular season.
Take 3 more here for Cale. Mike.
Cale, everybody knows that you were the first domino. You were the priority in terms of free agents. That now that domino has fallen, and it seems like it's happened in a timely fashion, because Gabe can become a free agent on Wednesday. I would think that having you signed up and knowing what it's going to cost is going to help the club re-sign Gabe. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that I was the top priority. I think obviously we want all of us back. We're especially Landy and obviously Groovy. They're such key pieces to our team, and those are definitely guys that I'd love to see back. And hopefully that we can or the club can work out something with them. But no, I think everybody's equal in this sense, and just making sure that hopefully everybody gets the right deal and get it done at some point. Hopefully, like you said before, everything starts to funnel out.
Peter Baugh, The Athletic.
Yeah, Cale, I know there's a chance that Taylor could potentially get drafted today. I was wondering if you've had much communication with him throughout the day, and just, I guess, what a team would get in him if they were to select your brother. Yeah,
I've been watching the draft all day. It's interesting to me. I'm more nervous than I was when I was in the moment, but no, it'd be awesome to see him go. Obviously, it's not the end of the world. There's so many. It really doesn't. The draft's not a big, I guess, comparable to where you're going to end up. So regardless of if you go or not, obviously anybody has the opportunity to make it if you work at it. So, but no, for him as a player, he's just a very hardworking kid. I'd compare him to kind of like similar to like a Josh Anderson, but the pestiness of one of the Tkachuk brothers, like a Matthew Tkachuk and stuff. So. No, he's definitely got a bright future, and he's already taller than me. I think he's 6'2" or 6'3" now. So, no, I'm excited for him going to UMass this year and everything. But I know he's excited for sure.
And last 2 here, Dan Rosen, NHL.com.
Hey, Cale, I mean, speaking of the draft, I mean, the draft obviously represents an opportunity to be a professional. It's one chance. Starts it. What does this contract represent to you? You're a professional now. You've done this for a couple of years, so now you've got the big deal. Other than a healthier bank account, what does this contract mean for you?
I think for me, it shows the faith that the program has in me, and then as well from my side, obviously, like I touched on, I think we have I believe in this organization and just where the future is taking us, and I think that this contract just shows it, faith from both sides and in general, and in terms of, I guess, playing and stuff, I don't really look too much into that, but it's not going to be something that I think about very often. It'll be in the back of my pocket that I hopefully never have to worry about. So.
And last one here, Brian Madden, CBS 4.
Hey, Cale, I think just to add on a little bit for this contract, did you even consider, I mean, this starts a foundation for you where you can start a legacy as probably potentially as one of the best defensemen in Colorado Avalanche history. Did that even enter your mind doing this contract?
No, not at all, to be honest. I'm obviously so young still, and so many years ahead of me. And to me, I feel like I've done nothing yet. So that's kind of the outlook that I have. It's just never be satisfied. But no, that honestly, it's a good question, but that's never crossed my mind.
Cale Makar there with some conversation about the new contract he just signed. 6 years, $9 million per, as I'm sure most of the Avs world already knows about at this point. But that deal officially done in the books. Some other Makar news today as well, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Cale, look, it's done now. It's not the 8 years of super long, but the Avs have locked him up for the foreseeable future, AJ.
Well, and this is exactly what we talked about last night.
Yep.
Was, if they wanted 8 years, they were going to have to offer a certain amount of money.
Yep.
And if they wanted, if Makar's side wanted a lower number of years, there was going to have to be some give somewhere on the amount of money per year.
Yep.
The 9 million was the number that we identified and talked the most about for a full year now. As that was really the big one, and
boiled down to the term that both sides were happy with, basically.
Yeah, and we talked about it last night. Makar's side was looking for more of a short term, just to ensure that the money didn't get out of control. That it didn't end up on a blatant steal of a contract for the Avs.
Like what
happened with McKinnon? Yeah,
yeah.
And then this, this ended up being like that kind of perfect middle road. It was right around the number that everybody was comfortable with. And then the 6 years, it buys one UFA a year.
Yeah. Still are up to get paid again when he's 28.
Right. And next time he's in free agency, he's 28. And you look at a 6 to 8 year deal for a 28-year-old. That's deep into his 30s. He's
by then, who knows what accolades he'll have? Yeah,
yeah, and who knows what the salary cap looks like, and who knows? We could be living. We should be. Hopefully, we'll be living in a very different world. Of he's got a nice trophy case that started to fill out a little bit. At 28 years old, it's kind of a legacy deal. You're looking at what should be happening with Gabe Landeskog right now.
Yep.
Maybe a more apt is what should be happening next year with McKinnon.
Yeah, true.
So I think this is a good middle road for everybody. You got to feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I feel great about it. Obviously would have felt better if it was 9 million at 8 years, but
sure,
not gonna complain about locking up Cale Makar for 6 years. Yeah,
you would have loved as many years as you could possibly get, and just the same way that it was with the Rantanen one. You and I were like, 8 years, come on, do it. But you can understand why players don't necessarily want to do that.
I forget the exact rules on when it becomes available, but I know for at least the first couple of years, Makar can't have a no trade clause.
You can't have no trade protection during your RFA years.
Okay, it's the full RFA years.
Yeah, so he only has 1 year.
1 year of that
where it would have been allowed, and they did not put any trade protection in it.
Yep.
Right now, you're like, who cares? What you would never trade Cale Makar anyway. But how many teams have thought that when they signed?
And then 6 years down the line, the world is a completely different place for sure.
They're like, boy, this really sucks to have this NMC sitting on top of us right now that we didn't think we were going to have to deal with.
Yep. Yeah, definitely the super minor details there anyway. Just getting this contract done was obviously the forefront.
Yeah, if you wanted to hit UFA early, you wouldn't have just bought a UFA year.
Yeah, that would be a 5-year deal.
The Avs gave him a UFA year or bought a UFA year with a 6-year deal. So he's gonna get, that age 28 contract has the potential to be like,
it could be massive if things go a certain way. But
right. Just in 6 years, maybe win a Stanley Cup, you maybe win a Conn Smythe, you maybe win a Norris or two. It's going to dwarf what the Doughty and Carlson deals look like, assuming the cap does what we think it will.
Yeah, obviously, if it's still flat 6 years from now, we're having a tough conversation. But
yeah.
In any case,
it's hard to feel bad about any of it. Wake up to that. I will pat myself on the back a little bit. I did say I thought this would be the first contract to get done.
Yeah, it is.
But also, if this is the only contract to get done of their big 3 free agents,
got yourself a lot of work to do then.
Yeah.
And
no, I said last night if he wanted a bridge deal, then he would have to give a lot of money back on it. And that's why I was saying you couldn't do a bridge deal and still get $8 million. That's why we were talking about $6 million.
Which
was never realistic. That wasn't going to happen.
Super chat here from Jacob saying, I know the draft just ended, but have you heard about the Avs attempting to trade up, or is it too soon to know that?
No, I haven't had any conversations, any post-draft. Yeah. It literally just finished and we went live.
Yep. The press.
I sat through the Sakic presser, which was mostly the most revelatory thing that came out of Sakic's presser for right now was that they plan to play Mikhail Maltsev in the NHL, and that they view him as their potential Pierre-Edouard Bellemare replacement at 4C.
Pour one out for Shane Bowers, everybody.
So, I mean, we knew Maltsev was going to be part. They didn't acquire him on accident,
for sure.
That was a very intentional.
Him being an expected NHL roster player was predictable for sure. But I think that kind of sums up a little bit of today, especially when it comes to this draft for the Avs. The biggest news of the day, absolutely not anyone that the Avs took in the draft.
Yeah, well, and, when you wake up and 30 minutes before the draft day starts on a day where you have 3 picks.
And it takes an hour and a half to get to that pick in the second round.
Yeah, like the Makar news that's why we're starting our post-draft day 2 show with Cale Makar.
The big news, yeah.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Makar got signed. It's done. Now they know that number. It's $9 million.
Yep, they can
they know that number
for else. Yeah.
They know that number for Landeskog. They know that number for Grubauer. They know that number for McKinnon next year. They know that number for Burakovsky next year.
Yep. It's all a lot easier to work top down when it comes to your cap hits like that. So a great spot for the Avs to be in. Obviously happy to have it done now rather than later, I would think. And it's one less thing that's got a deadline on it now for the Avs.
Yep. I don't understand the Reinhardt deal from, I guess, last night / today.
It was done last night, sort of, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'd like to push some of these deals off into other stuff. We want to get into the draft class. It seems like every time we try and talk about the draft class, it just
other stuff just keeps coming up. So let's talk about it. Yeah,
it's like the universe is like, this draft class is going to be nothing. Don't waste your time on it, because we just keep trying and just stuff just keeps happening.
It does feel that way a little bit. Just to recap, yesterday the Avs took OLAUSSON
a day later.
Yeah,
I know you and I both got home last night, watched a bunch of video, went through a bunch of extra things.
Yep.
He was not one of the 25 players that the Avs could have picked at that spot that we just didn't talk about him.
Yeah.
It was like, that guy's name was on that huge list. He just wasn't our preference. We talked about our preferences.
Yep.
He ended up being the pick. A day later, we both did a little bit more video on it last night. Do you feel any differently?
Honestly, no. I feel the same. The same things we said yesterday. I really I'm trying to see what people saw in his shot that I'm just not seeing. And it's not a bad shot. It's solid, but I don't think it's like this outrageously good shot that's going to push him towards a high-end goal scorer either.
The thing about it is, you look at a lot of the goals that you see on the highlights, and it's like he has 3 seconds where nobody's near him.
So much time.
and it's a screenshot, or it's a goaltender that misplays, and like you just get so much time to line it up and to try and
do whatever you want, basically.
It's what you don't see is him getting a lot of those types of really high quality shots off in traffic. And so that's just going to be a thing that he has to
learn how to do or be capable of doing or whatever.
Yeah, and we didn't see tons of that, and so I'm with you that my feelings didn't change a whole lot. I mean, the size and the skating combination is just for real.
I do think I underestimated his skating a little bit, but love the skating wholeheartedly. It's great. You got to have more than skating, though.
Yeah, and what I do like is that he reads the ice really well. He does a really good job of finding soft spots in the zones. He sits down and he understands how to get open, how to receive pucks, and go from there. What I don't love is he's not really elevating any of his line mates.
I don't think he's going to drive a ton of play at the next level either. Yeah,
he's not involving his teammates very much. There isn't really a lot of playmaking. There isn't really a lot of dynamic play with the puck. It's like the shot is like the thing.
It's very simple. Yeah, you're not going to see this dude walking through people. You're not going to see him trying to do crazy stuff. It's get to the open areas, have the space, shoot the puck kind of hockey.
And he's very mobile though. And as we talked about last night, he's gonna have to learn to be more physical than he is. He's got the frame to fill out, and if he gets more comfortable with that shot in traffic, he gets a lot more dangerous as an offensive player.
The other side of it, I think, is he has the ability on the defensive side if you can get him engaged consistently. With his skating, he can absolutely make an NHL career out of being a wicked fast guy that can PK for you on the defensive side if he's willing to put in the work.
Yeah. I think that's certainly one of the things that you get when you draft late in the first round.
Yeah.
You have a guy this is not like when they took Justin Barron last year, who was was a guy that was talked about as a high-end talent who had injury issues that pushed him way down. This was a guy, this is a guy that needs a lot of work, and I'm comfortable with what he does well. I see where he fits into Colorado's style. He plays with a certain pace, and he's aggressive.
Definitely,
he likes to get up and down the ice. He knows he's a good skater. He knows that he can beat guys, and I think that's going to translate really well to small ice. What's not going to translate is he just takes forever to shoot.
Yep.
And that he's just going to have to look. That's a product of your environment. One of the things about the European ice is that it is very large, as our comment section is mentioning. It is very large, and it does provide you with a little bit more space to kind of get away from everybody else. He is an intriguing combination of tools though, and Kevin says he sounds like Burakovsky. They're a little bit different.
Yeah.
Burakovsky's like
he can shoot the shit out of the puck.
But Burakovsky has like a fantastic shot.
A lot more Brandon Saad to me stylistically.
Yeah, I still don't feel comfortable with any comp for him yet. I just haven't really found the guy that makes me comfy.
Yeah, and again, this is not like we're not talking about expectations of his production or anything like that.
Yeah, of course.
Like the style of game that he plays.
Yeah, no, he's nothing like AJ Greer.
Nope.
If AJ Greer had this kid skating,
he'd be a slam dunk.
Well, he would
middle six NHLer.
Like there would be. Greer also never had the kind of shot that OLAUSSON has. I do want to see he has a goal in tonight's game against Finland.
Yep.
As they've got the World Junior Showcase going on in Michigan right now.
Yep.
But I want to. I don't know. I want to see him in person. I want to see.
Of course.
I'm sure if like he goes to if there's any kind of a camp, we're not sure yet about any of that.
Yeah.
But I'm sure he'll pop in one of those because the tools will just be there.
Yep.
But we saw one of the other issues that I had with him, going back and rewatching stuff was disappears in a lot of games.
100%. He has that side of his game where you tune in one night and he's just not hard after pucks, and
he's just not quite there.
You can't have that at the NHL level. Yeah.
The piece that I'm writing about the draft class, I wrote in it that look, when he's locked in, you could see this guy's a first round talent. It all comes together.
Yep.
The whole package clicks, and it works really well together. And he's off and running. But when he's not, he really struggles to find ways to contribute. So,
yep, you got to find ways to be useful all the time. But
yeah, and it's one of the things that a lot of these young guys
absolutely struggle with. It's not an uncommon issue. Yeah.
Consistency. This next guy that we're going to talk about, consistency is a really big part of it.
Yeah.
So, consistency for OLAUSSON is going to be really important.
So we can move into that next guy. I'm guessing this is probably both of our favorite picks of the draft, and Sean Behrens, at least for the Avs, from the USN TDP.
This is a guy that I put in the late first round of our mock, and as the day was going on Discord, I was like, how are these guys take, like, how does an NHL club take Nolan Allen over Sean Behrens?
Dude's made some choices out there, all right.
Like there were some like Sean. I just not that Sean Behrens is like amazing,
but end of the second round, yeah,
right. And when you get to the end, and it's funny because I was like, this isn't a guy that I love for the Avs because it's more of the same, and it's just like those jobs are kind of filled in Colorado.
I don't disagree with that. As you saw on the graphic, 5'10", 180 pound, definitely on the smaller side for a defenseman.
Yeah, I do, and that's another guy. I want to get there in person, and I want to see him. I want to see if it's 5'10" or if it's 5'8".
Right,
because if it's 5'10", you
feel okay about it.
Yeah, you're like, okay, maybe this holds up. But if it's 5'8", you're like, boy, it's a real small guy.
And the thing with Behrens especially is he does not play small.
And that's where you saw the people. There were the same people you always do.
Yep.
On Twitter today, reacting to it and being like, "Oh, soft organization. Oh, they're soft." And like, okay, it's cool. I understand. This has been a weird year. You've never seen Sean Behrens play hockey. I totally get it. But this is a really competitive kid.
Yeah.
And it was funny to me. I said, he plays with an in-your-face attitude. And then in Sack Expressor, as he was talking about him, he was like, he has a real in-your-face kind of style. And I was like,
is that when you were rolling your eyes at it? All right, got it.
No, that was
something else. Got it.
Yeah, that was during, I don't remember what that was for, but it was one of those like platitudes where you're just like, okay, you should have just said nothing.
The same thing every hockey GM says, no matter what. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. We were just like, come on, guys.
Is this necessary?
Anyway, so the Behrens thing, I don't want people to look at it and be like, oh, he's just another small puck mover, because there are some issues here. He does move pucks, but he's not a high-end puck mover.
Yeah.
He's not incredibly dynamic with the puck. He's a good skater. I wouldn't say an elite skater.
I don't think he's elite, but I'd give him very good. He's better than good.
I think the word that I would use for him is smooth more than anything else. Like, it's very,
effortless,
exactly. It's very, it's just, a scooter type defense. Like, great callback. Oh my gosh. No, he's very smooth, but his competitiveness is there.
Oh yeah.
This is a guy like there were people like, oh well, so it sounds like he's like Sam Girard. And it's like no.
Nope.
Defensively, Sam Girard's real sticky. Like he just mirrors guys really well. He uses phenomenal edge work to stay with guys. Behrens is more of a
he'll go right at you.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you challenge him, he's up for that. He likes that. He wants that kind of action.
Yep.
He's not going to have the physicality of say like a Drew Helleson, but he plays with an edge. Like he's not a guy that's gonna beat you up and is gonna brutalize you. Like Drew Helleson will like mug you and take your lunch money and make you feel bad about yourself and then steal your girl. Sean Behrens doesn't play that kind of that kind of defense.
He's not big enough to, but
it's but it's more of a really competitive type of defense. Like he will accept the challenge when it's there. Now he would prefer to just go and get the puck and move it out and be done with it. And he can do that, and he can do that in a couple different ways. Ryan Ellis is actually a pretty good comparison because Ryan Ellis isn't the biggest guy in the world, but he will get in your face and he will compete with you.
It's not an easy shift when he's defending you. Yeah,
right. What makes Ryan Ellis so freaking good is that his hockey IQ is insanely it's
off the charts,
roof, right? Like he reads plays unbelievably well. I don't think Behrens quite has that. I think that he's lacking. He does not have a dangerous shot.
No,
I don't think that this guy is going to be a goal scorer at pretty much any level from here on.
His shot might be better than Sam Girard's, but that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully as he fills out a little bit more, the problem
behind it maybe. Yeah, but
the big problem with G was that his frame didn't allow him to put on much weight, so that there's not much he can do about the shot.
Maximum there, yeah.
Yeah, and I think Behrens might be able to put on a little bit more weight. My optimistic view of it is that he can get to 190, but I think it'll probably be more like 185.
Yeah.
And if he can if he can translate that into improving the shot a little bit, get a little more into it, it might become
passable at least,
a weapon. But this is a dude that's going to create offense in other ways. He's not such a great transition player either. I would say he's probably a little bit better in the half ice.
You want set plays for him to run a little bit, yeah. Let him use that type of vision. As
Chad is asking, yes, going to DU. I think right now you would just say 3 years just to be on the safe side, but we'll see.
The thing is, again, for the Avs organization as it currently stands, where do you fit him in before 3 years?
Yeah. I mean,
and look, obviously, if he goes to DU and wins a Hobie as a defenseman or something, you're having a different conversation. But
yeah, like I mean, if he has, I think the career arc to keep an eye on was like what Ian Mitchell did at DU.
Sure.
Where he had a good freshman year and then he had the big breakout in the sophomore year. Now Chicago was more hard up
for D-man
for defenders that could play. So there was more of an urgency to get him into the league. But if you're looking at their depth chart over the next few years, you have Makar, Girard, Taves signed for at least the next 3 years. Okay.
Yep.
And then you have Byram on ELC for 2 more years and then RFA. You have Timmins, RFA. Has multiple RFA years. I believe 4 of them coming up. Justin Barron just finished his first pro year, and then you have Drew Helleson. And look, maybe Danila Zaravalov is coming over from Russia at some point,
or not. You just don't know. Yeah,
if he ever comes over, he's going to be a guy that does not need AHL time. He won't come over to play for the Eagles. He would have to come over and be given an NHL job, but that's probably just a condition of him coming at this point.
Point being, there's going to have to be a lot of moving pieces on the Avs defense for this.
Point being, if they give him 3 years, that's probably his best path to an NHL job.
Right.
At least right now. There could be a lot of things that have, let's be realistic here. Not all these guys are long for Colorado, and not all these guys are going to pan out.
No doubt about it.
Justin Barron only has 1 pro year. There's a long way to go here before we consider Justin Barron a success or whatever.
Yep.
There's still some bust potential there. Does Connor Timmins ever take a step forward? Does the health, whatever? What happens with Bowen Byram? Drew Hellison, where does that development go? Does Zhuravlov ever come over? So the organizational depth chart on defense, it's interesting because it's like outside of pro hockey, there's not much there.
Yeah, it's pretty sparse, but
the
pro side
in the NHL,
yeah,
in the NHL at the top level where you're drafting these guys to get them there, you're really good and you're really young.
Yep, it makes sense to be sparse at the lower levels when this is what you have at the top level.
Yeah, even we haven't even mentioned him, but Nicky Lieberman is a guy who had the kind
hanging around,
the kind of junior year where you're like,
maybe they throw him a contract. I don't know.
And now you're like, okay, well, they probably can't.
Yeah.
They do because they're going to have to give Hellison a deal next year.
Yep.
Zhuravlov, you want to save a spot if he ever decides he wants to come over.
And now you have Behrens a couple years down the line. Yeah.
Right. So Lieberman, through no fault, despite getting better and better and better every year, and fitting their mold, just may not have a spot anymore. So Behrens, I love that they just did it, right?
Yep.
There were a number of guys that were sitting on the board. We talked about Sasha Pastujov and one
that would fit better, maybe. Yeah,
our lack of comfort with his path forward to be an NHL player.
Yeah,
but at the end of the second round, I was comfortable with all of his sports. That would have been perfectly fine. And then, of course, the big heartbreaker was my Islanders taking Aatu Räty right before.
Snapped up a hat trick today in the showcase too.
Yeah, and it feels like it feels like the Avs just got bopped a little bit. Zach Leroux and Aatu Räty versus OLAUSSON and Sean Behrens.
What a different draft.
How do you feel about those classes?
I'd have been over the moon if it was Leroux and Aatu.
Yeah. At 61, Behrens is a great pick. Yes.
Yeah, right. Zero complaints here. Very happy with them.
Yeah, for the record, Michael, I understand that Hellison's rights don't expire for 2 more years, but when your guy gets to a senior year, he doesn't have very much incentive. If he's a legit prospect, he doesn't have very much incentive to sign with that organization anymore, especially one who's looking at a depth chart like that. Yeah. So if Hellison has another strong year, you have to give him the junior ELC. Otherwise, you very much risk watching that guy play and get a lot better and him just leaving on
and drop into someone else's NHL roster real quick. Yeah.
Yep. And stylistically, Hellison is exactly the kind of guy that they really need.
Yep.
6'3", right-handed, and he's mean.
Can make people not like playing hockey.
And what I think is interesting, you could have a future pairing, dreaming big here, dreaming long-term here. A Behrens-Hellison pairing would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's 2 really miserable guys to play against. 2 really competitive players that do it a little differently.
Yeah.
One that'll headbutt you, and then the other one,
that nothing's free against and has enough of that puck moving ability to, you got to think about it a little bit. So
yeah. So that's why I say next year they have to sign Hellison.
Yeah.
Contract wise, that's not true, but practical wise,
if they want him, they got to sign him. Yeah.
You don't want to put yourself in that position where you're trying to sell the guy and be like, oh, well, you can fight for a spot on our super loaded NHL defense, I guess. So at the end of a senior year, you don't want to do that to yourself.
All right. Let's move on to someone who can actually shoot a puck that the Avs drafted here.
So we're talking about somebody other than the 2 kids they drafted?
What? They drafted 4 kids.
I know. I mean, the other 2 that we haven't talked about.
You're not a believer in Buyalsky's shot?
I am not.
No, you don't like. I will agree. He has absolutely no backhand at all. But his one-timer is a bomb.
So this is such a weird pick.
It is extremely weird, and I very much don't like the pick, but he does have a good shot, in my opinion.
This is such a weird pick. So for him, let's just start him here for Andrei Buyalsky. This is super cool.
Yeah, to get drafted his third time through.
Right. So he's gone undrafted in 2 previous drafts, going through the development system in Kazakhstan.
Yep.
Not a system that produces very much talent.
Nope.
Ever. He comes into the USHL this year, and this is probably why he got drafted.
Almost certainly.
It's because he goes to the league that everybody scouted a ton of this year and got in-person viewings of. And that right there, you look at his height right there. You see he's 6'3". He's a center, and he's 6'3". And he is a whale of a skater.
Yep.
He moves. He gets up and down the ice consistently. His highlights are basically all him.
It's one play. He gets the puck, he drives to the net as hard as he can, and he's a 20-year-old who's bigger and stronger than everyone, and just drives the net and scores.
Just blows by dudes. Just
and
he's gone.
The one play that he has is great, but that just isn't sustainable at the next level, right?
Somebody said, "Oh, so like Val Nichushkin," and it's like,
yeah, kind of, yeah,
exactly like that, except he is 170 pounds.
Yep.
He's all lanky. He needs muscle.
This dude on like 40 pounds.
So he's going to college hockey. He's going to the University of Vermont. I don't know anything about the University of Vermont, but I'd be willing to bet that they sell pizza there, and this dude needs to eat a ton of it.
Pizza every night, yeah.
He needs to pack on weight badly. Because that's where he becomes a truly intriguing prospect here.
Yeah.
Because if he can keep that dynamic skating and he can add 20 pounds, and I mean 20, 6'3", 190 is not an unreasonable ask.
He should be able to get to 200, man. At least,
look, there are some lanky dudes out there that just can't do it. Okay, and at that point, you might be giving up some of the skating as the trade-off. So for me, I will go for I will take 190.
Okay.
But him already being 20 years old
is a big problem. It's a big problem. Yeah, like that's
he turns 21 next month. His birthday's the day after mine.
And you see it all the time, especially with young kids who come to the NHL as teenagers. Their 20-year-old season is often the one where they actually start bulking up.
Yeah.
So he's going to be 21 and he's only 175 right now.
Yeah. So this is a real question mark. And you remember a couple of years ago, the Avs drafted Tyler Weiss, who was 150 pounds when he was drafted. And the question was, can he pack on the weight? Now, he wasn't 6'3", but he's packed on a little bit of weight and he's turned himself in. You know, he had the kind of year where you're like, maybe.
There's a universe where it happens.
Maybe,
yeah.
Maybe Tyler Weiss is getting an ELC next year. But the big thing here is that this kid is he's essentially going to be, he's 2 weeks from being 21 years old.
He'll
3 weeks from being 21.
If you sign him after his junior year, he'll be 23.
You're going to, basically, if you're going to give this guy an ELC, it's going to be a 2-year ELC.
Yep.
This is what we had talked about with their love of college hockey and that they can just give guys time.
Yep.
They don't feel pressured by the 2-year window. They can just whatever. They could drop him in there and say,
right, later kind of thing. Yeah.
Go to college and we'll just see how this is. Okay. I can't stress enough. Like the 2 years here is a big deal. Now, the time spent in Kazakhstan,
can you take anything from that? I mean,
I have absolutely no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about their development other than they don't produce NHL talent very often. We never see guys come out of Kazakhstan. It just doesn't happen.
Yep.
But watching him in the USHL, there was an obvious appeal. Okay, he's got great size. He's a really good skater. He's playing center. Okay,
I like
Let's
his
see
shot.
if there's.
AJ
let's,
doesn't have to like it, but I think his shot is quite good.
let's see what they can do with it. My big problem is that they used the 92nd pick on it
to do it. Yeah, same. We've time and time again, the overagers have not worked.
They keep doing this overage thing every year, basically. Now they keep doing it. And look, the Niels Oman thing last year.
It's a 6th round pick, so whatever. But
a big-bodied center from Sweden, a two-way guy. Maybe you get like a nice defensive center out of him someday. This is certainly a more interesting pick from a tools perspective than that one was. But this one was done in the 3rd round.
Right. You used a top 100 pick to draft a 20-year-old kid who'd been through the draft twice. And yes, he had a nice year in the USHL, but he was also 20 playing in the USHL.
Right. Like 20-year-olds having nice years in the USHL is a pretty common thing, but they usually don't get, that doesn't usually result in those cats being drafted.
Right. So a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. Do not love the pick by any stretch of the imagination.
And it's a lot of time, and especially the very next pick was Tristan Lennox.
Yep.
Which I was like, look, if they walk out of here with a forward, a D, and a goaltender, they've done right by themselves. This is good work from them. And so then for them to go this route was kind of like, and it sucked because like it's nothing against him.
Yeah, no, like kid played well.
We'll see how this goes.
Maybe in a year we're talking about him as a higher end prospect in the Avs system. We don't know, but from a value perspective, you have to really trust the scout who told you to take this guy. I'll put it that way.
And look, when there's a gap between your picks between 92 and 220, you have to make a decision.
Yep.
You just take the top guy on your board, or do you maybe take a guy that you really, really, really like, but you maybe had him a little bit lower, and you just say, look, we love the tools here. We're just going to see how this goes. Because from the perspective of just drafting, you know, when you get into the 3rd, 4th round, 5th rounds, you're kind of just drafting 1 or 2 tools and hoping another one really develops. And the fact that he's as good a skater as he is, he's 6'3", and he's got a shot that RUdo really likes. Like, there are things that are intriguing there. The problem is that he's 20 already, and essentially 21. He's an old 20.
How much weight can he put on? How much more can his game grow at a collegiate level?
Yeah.
Those are the big questions.
Yeah, and like this is I would also say that this is the year to do something like this.
Where take a YOLO shot.
Yeah, where you're just like, why not? You haven't had very much scouting on a lot of guys. You take a shot on a toolsy guy that you do like. All right.
Go for it and see what happens.
It's my only real problem with this is that it was 92nd overall.
There was talent out there, right? But in any case.
Yeah, but you know, this is wait and see.
Yeah.
I didn't love the Ambrosio pick last year.
I did.
Although I wasn't, I don't know. I don't want to say I was down on it, but
well, you were super hype on Foodie, and I took the Ambrosio hype basically, and we just kind of both are loving our lives now.
I was pretty in love with the Foodie pick, that's for sure. That remains one of my favorite picks they've made in the last several years. It was just so good. But I would also like to point out here that between now Foodie and Buyalsky and the next guy that we're going to talk about, just drafting centers.
Yep.
Drafting centers and trying to find some guys that can help with that spot.
I mean, does the next guy really count? Yeah, like conspiracy theory time, chat? To be clear, this is just for fun, but my conspiracy theory is Makar was willing to do a 9x5, and the 6th year gets added as long as the Avs agree to draft his brother. As the Avs do draft Taylor Makar in the 7th round. I'm going to be honest with you. I have absolutely zero expectations of him being anything in professional hockey. It's a neat story, a cool little thing that he gets drafted by the same team his brother did, but as far as a
And-
path to the NHL, it's a tough one.
Well, and like you give Taylor credit because he's come a long way in his AJHL career. At the start of that thing, it was like this is a guy that's a long way from pro hockey. And he worked really hard. He got a little bit better every year. He's got good size, and he plays, he's an obnoxious talent.
Yeah.
And, he got, again, this is the advantage. He's, again, 20 years old. This is where being a bigger guy and an older guy, he just kind of gets to push around the AJHL.
Yep.
Like, do we remember what Taylor Makar looked like in the AJHL a few years ago?
When he was 18, 17 even, and absolutely
he was-
murdering that league. Yeah.
Right. He was a superlative talent, and Taylor is not that.
Yeah.
Not ranked by anybody, and not really widely seen as a prospect with a really bright future in pro hockey.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
It's
it's
fun.
a 7th round pick. Have fun with it.
It's the 220th pick. There is absolutely nothing wrong with just taking the shot and being like, he's got 4 years at UMass. If you get a guy, you're thrilled.
You're about as likely to get a dude out of him as anyone else, right? In the 7th round. So
Good. And like you can make that argument. Like we can make the odds argument. Oh, like NHL Network during the broadcast today put up a graphic as the 7th round started that said notable 7th round picks, and 2 of them had come from the last decade.
yeah.
And so it's like, okay, like you're not feeling like there's going to be much that comes out of this round.
Mean, just go look at the last decade of AB 7th round picks, and you feel it okay that they just went for something fun in the 7th round, right? Like
it's like Nick Lieberman.
Lieberman is
like Colin Smith got a game.
Interesting. I guess Trent Miner was a 7th.
Yeah, Trent Miner got
there's
an ELC.
something there, but I mean they had a handful of ELCs, Travis Barron, Julian Nantel, but
That's true.
those guys got to professional hockey and it was a full stop on any hopes of being an NHL player.
Yeah, and like the dude Nantel's still hanging around pro hockey. Yeah. He's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
Look, if they get Julian Nantel out of Taylor Makar,
that'd be a slam dunk, baby. You're happy with that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. And you hope for the best for him. But we talked about him earlier this year, and it was like not trying to be mean.
Yeah.
Not trying to ruin a guy's day or anything, but from a
talent perspective,
looking at the organization and looking at the draft and looking at how he projects and blah, 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 there's a really long way for him to go. Now he's got 4 years at UMass to do it. So there's time. You're not in a hurry there. You're definitely going to use all 4 years for Taylor Makar.
Man,
and then you'll decide.
I would never go to the same school my brother did.
Especially if it was a talent like
that. Like being in his shadow there would not have been my choice. But
there's always a chance, with a guy like this. And the work that he put in to even get himself to this point has been impressive.
Yep.
And it's notable, and that's probably the biggest reason that he got drafted.
Other than being Taylor Makar's brother.
But also, like, there's a major difference here between the Avs. Like this is like when the Devils took Marty Brodeur's son in the 7th round.
It's a 7th round pick.
And it was like, maybe, it was a cool moment for everybody involved. And this is way different than the Coyotes using a top 40 pick on Shane Doan's son.
Yeah.
Who, like, I mean, to Josh Doan's credit, like, he is legit, like, top 100 prospect. But that one felt rich.
But the Avs used the 220th pick in a draft that no one knew anything outside of the top 100 in. So
I will just say they may not have had a list at that point.
Yep. Just threw it out
of draftable prospects. They might have just run out, and they were just like,
Makar's got a brother.
We can always just take Taylor Makar.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All righty.
Nothing wrong with it. Hope for the best for Taylor. Excited to see him at a dev camp someday, just to see him live and see what's up. Cool day for the Makar brothers.
Yep.
Cool day for a lot of brothers around
Yeah,
the league and
yeah.
for the draft.
A lot of families getting picked for sure. But
Let's do a quick. How does this change the prospect pool? I assume OLAUSSON's in our top 5.
yeah, he's 3 or 4 probably.
I assume Behrens is close.
Probably like 6, maybe even 5. Maybe you could make a case for it. I'd have, so 1 is Barron, 2 is Kaut, 3 is probably OLAUSSON, and then the question is, where do you go from there? I think I probably have Ranta ahead of Behrens right now. I have no idea where to put Bowers on this list anymore, though.
I struggle with that one too. That's where it's like, okay, what's a prospect?
Yeah.
Like, are we counting Newhook as a prospect still? Is he
Right.
number 1? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
if he's a prospect, he's 1 by a mile. Yeah.
Then your prospect system
I'll
certainly
move
looks
down
better.
1. Yeah. But so that's a tough conversation there to start stretching it out. But
I would have Behrens ahead of Haefele still.
Yeah, I think I probably would too, just from a high end perspective.
I think I would probably have them next to each other.
Yeah.
So it would be like, and if we were doing the triangle, if we were doing the tiers, they'd be in the
same tier, definitely. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And that's a big for me anyway, just given how much I did not like that pick. That's a major testament to where Drew Hellison's game has developed.
Yep. Definitely.
I will tell you, I really thought they were going to take Svozil.
They didn't.
Like, I was just waiting for it. Like the no offense defensive defenseman who's like does a little bit of everything, is a smooth skater, decent size, all that. I thought that's where we were headed.
Not this time.
And they took Sean Behrens, and I was like, shit, man.
Ranta's definitely behind OO for me right now.
Same.
Two NHL games is fun and all, but if you watch those 2 games, you know why he's behind OO.
Well, and the AHL wasn't so special.
It was a fun little stint, but yeah, he wasn't a point per game Alex Newhooking it or anything. Like, in any case, any final thoughts on this draft, AJ? I know there were some trades. We'll probably save those for Monday to really get into those. And
Monday is
right. So
Tuesday, GM day. It's
my
roster day.
That's right. So send us your rosters, or go on Cat Friendly, make your Avalanche roster trades, whatever you want to do. Put DNVR in the title. We'll run through them and we'll tell you you're bad. Then we'll post rosters and you can tell us that we're bad.
Yep. We'll post ours and you guys will be like, you guys are morons. Why do I listen to this stupid podcast? So
yeah,
that'll be fun for everybody.
Yeah. Should be a fun time. Looking forward to it. Any final thoughts, AJ, on the draft?
What did you do between picks 92 and 220?
Played WoW.
Oh yeah.
On one monitor, I had scouting reports and video footage of the 2 guys the Avs took in Buyalsky and Behrens, and then on my other monitor, I had my WoW dailies.
I can't do the Korthia stuff every day. It's too repetitive.
That's all good. Do it when you want to do it.
Yeah. The problem is that like you need to rank that stuff up. So
you don't need to.
I mean, you need to rank up the reputation at least so that you can upgrade certain gear.
True.
Not be necessarily at the mercy of drops all the time, which is why I'm so behind.
All right. We're gonna get out of here with our classic free AJ call until he's free.
Yeah, let me check my email. Still not free.
Oh boy. Well, thank you everyone for watching, listening, however you consume the pod. We appreciate all of y'all so very much. Hope y'all enjoyed our draft coverage. As AJ mentioned, roast my roster and free agency coverage coming next week. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Helps us out a ton, especially if you're new here. That would be great. other than that, looking forward to seeing what y'all come up with for Monday. So until then, we will talk to you all later.